Let's go. The first story I'm going to talk about is DDoS. DDoS is still around. If you don't know what DDoS is, denial of service attack, distributed denial of service attack. This story comes by way of Wired.com, and they're talking about how DDoSes are getting cheaper. That's right. Thanks to a new vulnerability by the Web Services Dynamic Discovery Protocol, or WS Discovery, it lets devices on the same network communicate, and they can direct them to all ping one location or address with details about themselves. So this is kind of like the way that a lot of people are able to generate a lot of traffic very easily. And not only does this include computers, but a lot of smart devices include WS Discovery. And it's not good. It's not good. It is ridiculous. It says on Wednesday, researchers from Akamai's DDoS mitigation service, Prolexic, detailed a 35 gigabit per second. A 35 gigabit per second attack against one of its clients in August, compared to the most powerful DDoS attacks ever recorded, which have topped 1 terabit per second. That might not sound like a lot, but the attackers use a relatively new technique, one that could potentially yield more than 15,000% rate of return on the junk data it spews on the victim. This is how the exploit works. Attackers can manipulate WS Discovery by sending them specifically crafted malicious protocol requests to vulnerable devices like CCTV cameras and DVRs. And because WS Discovery is built on the network communication protocol known as the UDP, you guys know what UDP is, User Datagram Protocol, the probes can spoof their IP address to make it look like the request came from the target's network. So they're fooling your devices to DDoS. It's a bait and switch. The devices that receive the commands will send their unwanted replies to the DDoS target instead of the attacker. This is a great quote. It's like somebody sitting over here to your left, and they reach behind your back, smack the guy on your right, smack the guy on your right side in the head, and then he looks over at you, and you look at him, and he clocks you in the face. It's a sleight of hand that's going on. This is bad, though. DDoS attacks are getting worse. And the fact that they're getting cheaper and easier to do, meaning that these DDoS middlemen, people that are brokering DDoSes, can charge less and do a lot more. This is over on Wired.com. Check it out, man. It is crazy. It is absolutely nuts. Next story. SpaceX wants to beam internet access across the entire southern U.S. by late 2020. You've probably been reading about SpaceX launching rockets every 5 minutes and landing them as if they were in a sci-fi movie. It's really cool stuff. They want to become one of the world's largest internet providers by deploying a constellation of thousands of satellites to beam broadband from space. And I've talked about this on previous episodes of Tech Talk with Bwana. We talked about Elon Musk, the Muskie man, constantly stating that they want to blanket the skies with satellites so that we can have internet without having to rely on, traditional underground, above ground fiber cables and stuff. The company laid out plans over the past week to launch an unprecedented number of rockets next year, 24 missions. That's 2 per month, in case you're counting, dedicated solely to hauling batches of its broadband beaming satellites into space. They recently asked regulators for permission to rearrange its planned constellation dubbed Starlink. Sound familiar? Remember I talked about that? In a way that would allow fewer satellites to cover more territory. According to the documents filed to the FCC, by the end of 2020, they could be delivering high-speed internet across the southern United States. A very, very interesting topic because more and more of these projects for internet and for communication, even when I was growing up, they were launching a lot of satellites for cell phones and GPS GPS stuff. But now it's getting more and more important to do internet connectivity because internet connectivity is becoming a staple now. It's becoming more important and commonplace than lights and water. Well, I guess I shouldn't say lights and water. More like electricity. Internet connectivity is like analogous to electricity. They're becoming one and the same. And a lot of what we do today, a lot of what we depend on, a lot of what we do, our day-to-day tasks rely on connectivity. You notice this when your power goes out, or when you decide to go into a spot where your phone doesn't work, and you're just like, what do I do? What do I do? People panic. And it's almost like a sabbatical or a vacation, like a cleansing process when you go off the grid, because we depend on the internet so much. Check it out, guys. The CNN has this article. By late 2020, that's soon. That's like this time next year. We may be seeing some satellite internet in southern U.S. from SpaceX. Next story. Speaking of internet, AT&T says that the customers that they love and know can't sue them for selling their location data to bounty hunters. They can't. They said you can't sue them for that because of the fine print in the contract. They must instead deal with the company privately rather than in court. AT&T is arguing that its customers can't sue the company for selling location data to bounty hunters, according to recently filed court records. They said the customers signed contracts that force them into arbitration, meaning customers or consumers have to settle complaints privately with the company rather than court. The filing is a response to a lawsuit filed by the EFF. The news shows that hurdles consumers are faced with when trying to claim compensation from the telcos and other tech giants that have arguably abused the access to their data include ultimately selling it to people without authorization to handle such information. I think that's the key here, is that a lot of this data is being sold to whoever just has money in their pocket instead of people who actually are authorized to use that data. The plaintiffs have an uphill battle because you did sign the contract. Mandatory arbitration is something that I've heard of before. And if you want to opt out of this, you have to work with AT&T directly, and they don't have to do it. Point blank, they really don't have to do it. You can ask them, and they can say no. The class action lawsuit filed on behalf of AT&T customers came after multiple motherboard investigations into the sale and abuse of phone location data. In January, Motherboard obtained real-time location of a T-Mobile phone in Queens, New York, after paying a bounty hunter source $300. The data broker firm that provided access to the data, called Microbuilt, also sold location information on Sprint and AT&T phones. Shortly after, Motherboard then reported that a company called Surcare One had sold T-Mobile, AT&T, and Sprint to around 250 bounty hunter customers. It's something to think about, man. Like, your location data is... I always go back to Mass Effect and how data brokering has become so commonplace now. It's like, I just remember what's her face sitting in that room with all those monitors and all that data scrolling by. And she was like, I am the data broker, Shepard. I must attend to my customers. I have to broker the data, Shepard. And that's where we are, man. Facebook, these telcos, ISPs. That's how they make money these days. That's one of their big revenue sources, is your data, which is why they're fighting tooth and nail to be able to keep selling it the way they're doing it. Check it out, guys. This is over on Motherboard. I'm sorry, this is over on Vice. Vice.com. They got the details. AT&T, you can't sue them. You just can't. Comcast promised not to raise prices. Guess what happened next? Come on, chat. Guess. take a wild guess what happened next. Comcast accused of reneging on lifetime price promise in a Google Fiber city. In 2016, Comcast was under some intense competitive pressure from Google's high-speed fiber optic data service, this lawsuit says. In Salt Lake City, Comcast engaged extra sales staff to try to effectively beat the Google Fiber sales staff as they made their way up and down the streets of each neighborhood. To compete, Comcast sales staff began to offer lifetime contracts to some of its customers and sold Comcast broadband services by using door-to-door salespeople. They went old school. They went knocking on doors, especially in cities and neighborhoods where Google was aggressively offering its fiber optic service. In a lawsuit, he took up Comcast's offer for a $120 per month plan, including TV, internet, and phone service. And the lawsuit says he received a mailing from Comcast said that the $120 price would be locked in for as long as he wanted. Well, you can guess what happened next. The lawsuit claims that as many as 20% of Comcast's over 200,000 contracts in Utah may be lifetime contracts, but in June 2019, Comcast increased their bill by $10 a month. Other customers had their bill unilaterally increased as much as $50 per month over these lifetime deals. Many customers, upon seeing the substantial increase in monthly billing, contacted Comcast and were told by Comcast employees and representatives that Comcast's lifetime plan does not exist. In spite of the previous representations by its sales staff, in spite of the numerous written contracts with the lifetime language prominently displayed, they just told them it doesn't exist. This is the world we live in. This is the world we live in right now. They just told them, no, that's not. We don't have that. The deal that you were paying for was not existent, so we're just gonna raise the price. Yeah. What kind of a world do we live in? This is nuts. Over on Ars Technica, they talk about it. And you gotta wonder how many other places they do this, where they knock door to door. Sales guys make up these packages, and then they later renege on them. That's sad. That's really sad. Especially if they're touting a lifetime. That's saying a lot. Somebody says, I'll give you $120 per month lifetime. That's a good deal if you really love the service. I probably would never take a lifetime deal with any ISP. Especially in the U.S. If I was in another country, maybe I would take it if I was in another country, but in the U.S., I definitely would not take a lifetime deal. There's too much shadiness going on. Check it out, guys. All right. And finally, this is a Reddit article. I think this is the last one. Elite Dangerous got an update. This is the September update with Elite Dangerous. And this article is posted on Reddit by Ryan M17. I know Ryan for quite a while. He's a prominent PvPer. And the update from Elite Dangerous was supposed to address two things. Number one, it was supposed to be a new player experience overhaul. There's new tutorials and a whole new intro process, which is supposed to make it easier for new players. And then number two, they were going to streamline their microtransaction process to be in line with consoles. Consoles were using something called Frontier Points in Elite Dangerous to purchase skins and paint jobs and lasers and stuff and cosmetics. And they were using Frontier Points. So they would use real money and get points and then use those points to buy things. On PC, we were using traditional money transactions. So what they did was they consolidated all of that. And now everybody's using a point system called ARCs. So you buy ARCs to buy cosmetics. And the difference was going to be that you could earn ARCs just by playing the game. So the update came out yesterday, and it's been, when I was reading the post when it came out, the biggest bug I saw was that engineering was not working. That your modules just weren't showing up as engineered. And Frontier said there was a visual bug that they are actually engineered. Turns out that there's a lot more on top of that than what was stated. Not only is the engineering bug there, the UI bug, cargo limpets can crash the game. Remote engineering is expletive. Fighter lag not fixed. This is according to Ryan, and I trust him. He's been playing this game a long time. The ARCs limit can be bypassed. So currently there's a 400 ARCs limit per week that you can earn. And you can bypass that limit. Not a good bug. You can farm ARCs by buying and selling armor. I think I read one streamer, I'm not going to say his name. He maxed out his ARCs in 1 hour. This is something that you're supposed to accumulate over like a week. He maxed it out in 1 hour. No engineering possible even at bases. So you can't engineer. Engineer's gone. Can't adjust pips in training. That's kind of minor to me, but that's still a problem. If you turn off the docking computer, sim will fail. I think this is talking about in training, in simulation. Your power priorities reset again. This is an old bug that came a while ago, and it was very annoying, and now it's back again. Whenever you set up a ship, you can tell it which modules you want to consume power. You can sort it by priority. So if you run out of power, you don't want to turn off your shields first. You'll turn off your cargo hatch or something like that. So all those get reset, which is annoying because you have to redo them, which takes time. And if you deploy your weapons and your power priorities are set wrong, everything turns off and you're floating in space about to die. The tech broker allowing you to buy mods you haven't unlocked. The tech broker allows you to buy mods you haven't unlocked. So you can get the advanced missile launcher and the remote flat cannon from the tech broker without even having access to them. Blocking is not still fixed. The wing beacon text is offset and unreadable, and you can no longer access the game using a VPN. That's a pretty hefty set of bugs. And I haven't tried the update yet, namely because of bugs I read about. And I was hoping they'd be addressed in a couple of days. And I was like, all right, I'll try it after all the bugs are ironed out. And I read this and I was like, well, we're going to wait a few more days. Frontier did deploy a server-side fix today to address some of the issues, but not all of them. And then he went on to say how you earn ARCs and how you can farm ARCs. You can just keep self-destructing and earn 8 ARCs per death. So you can get a Sidewinder, just keep blowing up yourself and earn ARCs. You can shoot the station and die and get 10 ARCs. Buying and selling reactive armor is 10 ARCs per transaction. So you just sit there and buy and sell the same armor over and over again and get 10 ARCs per transaction. And if you kill somebody in PvP, you get nothing. You get no ARCs. So he breaks down the price of ARCs. And I knew somebody was going to do this. I was kind of waiting on it. And it doesn't look like it was going to be that great. Pre-ARCs, weapon engine colors were $1.75 per color. Now they are 4,240 ARCs, which converts to roughly $3.38. Almost double the price. Additionally, if you are purchasing ARCs directly from the store in order to buy these, you would need to spend $7 to buy 8,828 ARCs pack to buy both. Trident Bobblehead was $4 pre-ARCs. It costs $5 in ARCs now. Mining gets broken because you can't use limpets to collect cargo or the game starts crashing. That's pretty bad. He just goes on to talk about this and how he's frustrated. So I will be waiting. This was I didn't think this was going to be that big of an update, but it turns out it broke a lot more than it actually added. So maybe there's some core things that snuck in there from next year's update that maybe somebody checked in some bad code or something. I don't know. But it's not good. It's actually not good. So yeah, that's the news. That's the news. That's the news. All right, we're going to look at submitted stuff from you guys now. Let's see. I think Tyson had an article that he submitted via the... I got to bring up this. Oh, where is it? There it is. I hate Twitch's scroll bars. They're so hard to see. That's not it. Activity feed. So, I'm going to pop this out. Can't see this. Here we go. Oof. Too many windows, not enough time. All right. So this is a story that Tyzoon submitted from Wowhead. Let's check this out. No thanks. Okay. So Blizzard has given closure on the recent DDoS attacks on September 7th and 8th. Blizzard worked with local and international law enforcement to track the source and believed that law enforcement have identified and arrested a suspect. Here's what the article says. We want to return to this subject and put some closure on it. As always, is our top priority resolving the issues. Immediately after the DDoS attacks against our game servers began, against the WoW Classic servers, the security team worked around the clock with local and international law enforcement agencies to track down the source of the DDoS. It is our understanding that within a few days, authorities were able to successfully identify and arrest the suspect. This is what I keep saying to people. They're like, oh, they're never going to catch him because they use a VPN. I'm like, listen, you're thinking like it's 1998. Just because you use a VPN, that doesn't hide your identity. I'm trying to educate people on this. I'm like, listen, don't be stupid. Don't think because you're using a VPN, they're not going to find you. You got. Times are changing. We just talked about a story where they sell your data to bounty hunters. They sell your data to bounty hunters. So if law enforcement wants to find out who did this, they have the means to get a lot of information that you can't hide. Unless you really know what you're doing. I mean, you got to be a professional hackerish. And these kids think they could just go to a VPN and do stuff like this and get away with it. It's a sad day. But anyway, I'm always happy to hear that people get caught. I'm saddened to hear that people have to pay the price for their stupidity, because I wish they wouldn't be stupid. But at the same time, I'm glad that there's some accountability here, and that it acts as an example to aspiring stupid people to not be that dumb and to, suppress said urges to do something stupid. So just be careful. Just be careful, guys. So yeah, Blizzard closure on the recent DDoS attacks to WoW Classic and retail servers. Also, I want to talk about another thing. I'm just going to play a video first. Just going to play this video. It's very important.
We came here in peace, with a dream of exploration. Through the strength and unity of the Republic, we reached and grasped the stars themselves. Only through the power of our collective will could we traverse the endless fathoms of the galaxy and find our new home. For the betterment of all mankind, we have achieved mighty deeds. We have become like unto gods in our power and reach. Never before has the human race attained such glory, and it is all due to the loyalty of the Terran people. Yet there are those who think they have a better way. These terrorists, these usurpers of power, would destroy a way of life we've cherished for hundreds of years. And for what? Technology? Corporate profits? This self-styled new conglomerate would destroy our democratic traditions, handing our way of life over to their corporate masters. They sell us oligarchy, and they call it freedom. I name it what it is. Fascism. And even worse, these so-called Bwana. They seek not only to destroy our civilization, but our very humanity. They claim these alien artifacts are the key to the future. But whose future? Toying with technologies beyond their understanding, they risk our very existence for some theological insanity. For too long, we have allowed these destroyers of a peaceful, stable republic to fester and grow like a cancer. For too long have our beliefs, our homes, and our own children fallen victim to their radical, destructive ways. I stand before you and I say no more. Today we stand. Today we fight. Today we show these blights upon humanity what they have feared in their dark hearts all along. The Terror Republic will never stop. The Terror Republic will never surrender. We will fight and die until every single one of them is wiped from the face of our races forever. When we claim blood and honor, we mean blood and honor. From today until the last day, the Terror Republic will fight, and we will win. Loyalty unto death.
Oh, man, every time. Oh, man. Loyalty until death. So the reason why I brought that up is PlanetSide Arena has been released today on Steam. I believe it's on Steam, right? It's a kind of a spin-off. It's a spin-off of PlanetSide. And I want to play this trailer as well for you all. It's a spin-off of PlanetSide. Let's check it out. So it's I think it's a squad of 12 or 15. In a basically in a you could think of it as a like an island, small island in PlanetSide 2 with a collapsing circle, but you gather nanites to essentially upgrade your squad's gear. So it is a BR spinoff. And it got some pretty decent reviews from people, especially when you get to the last part of the circle. don't people go straight to Steam reviews. I don't even look at Steam reviews. It got some previews from some news outlets, and they said that it needed some work, but the last circle was like incredibly fun and chaotic, which I could see that. I gather a lot of these negative people probably hate PlanetSide 2 as well for whatever reasons, because Daybreak and Sony, whatever. Reviews really that's a story in itself. They just have the wrong motivations. So I'll be trying this. Definitely going to be trying this. Going to be trying this out. It seems like a very team-based game, so if you come across a bad squad, you're gonna have a bad time. Just like any other team-based game. Just like PlanetSide 2, if you join PlanetSide 2 when people are just derping around, then the entire map is going to be blue or purple instead of red, when it should be entirely red. Also, the Call of Duty Modern Warfare open beta is getting some early access from some streamers today. And for people who pre-ordered. It's going to start for everybody, I believe, on Saturday. So, is that on Steam too? No, that's just on Blizzard, right? That was the last story. I wish I could mark all of these as complete. There we go. It's on Battle.net, yeah. Okay. Bum 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 ba-dam 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 bum 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 ba-dam 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 bum 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 ba-dam 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 bum bum. Blizzard agent went to sleep, trying to wake it up. And this one, Modern Warfare, this actually looks. Did they have a trailer link to the trailer here? No, they just linked the Twitch directory. I got a bunch of other stuff here. This game looks incredible. There was a couple things I liked about what I saw. I was watching a couple streamers this morning. I was watching the 2v2 stuff. And that's something I haven't seen in COD before. There was a sort of dynamic and map presence and just focus that I have never seen before. It felt refreshing. It really did. In a very, very long time, Call of Duty felt refreshing. That 2v2, man, it's a whole different dynamic. And the game itself just looks good. Just looks like traditional COD. I know I said the same thing kind of about Black Ops 4. It was a good COD too. I always like Treyarch stuff, so I'm a fan of their stuff. But this one right here looks special. So I'm definitely going to be checking out the beta this weekend. And I don't know if I want to play the 2v2. The 2v2 was fun to watch. That could be some really good esports stuff right there. 2v2 was very, very fun to watch. But I'll probably jump in just in team deathmatch and kill control, kill whatever, and headquarters, whatever the traditional stuff is. But if you watch Twitch streamers, not me, but you watch Twitch streamers that are streaming it now, they have a drops program going on where you can actually get a beta key early. So you can actually play now. So you might want to idle in some streams to see if you can get a beta key. All right, guys, if there's no more submissions, I didn't see any. That's the news.